Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, uh, it's Thursday. It's Thursday, and this is the morning due for certified doers just like you. And I'm Jackie Glass, Mama, Navy vet, certified doer, and the laced up legislator for the House of Delegates, 93rd District. I've missed you. It's been a little bit of a week. As many of you know, I am up in session, so um, and down, folks. In the sickness has definitely took its toll across the General Assembly. Folks getting sick. I'm knock on wood. I have not. This is the first morning where I think I've been able to do the morning due, not in the office. We are halfway done. And I know sometimes I've got folks like, where's your content at? Uh, it has been a challenge. Good morning, Callaway. Good morning, Dominique in VA. Good morning, Will K Willie 97184. Good and Morgan. Let me tell you. So we are halfway through our session, which means today will be the first day that I'm going to start hearing Senate bills. We had this thing called crossover on Wednesday, where we heard over 300, we went through over 300 and some odd bills in one day to get ourselves in the position to be able to wrap things up by the end of the month. But with that being said, I'm going to shift rudders a little bit and talk less about the General Assembly and more about the general public and generally speaking, what's happening in our country right now. I know 1000%. Good morning, Miss Charlene. I know 1000%. It may be a little tough for some of us to really hone in and be fully present with what is happening. And I want to acknowledge that because I think I've had so many emails and I still need to catch up. People email in my office like, Jackie, I'm scared. Jackie, I don't know what's happening. What can we do? How do we deal with the things that are happening in the federal government? It's a lot. I want to make sure that we all acknowledge that it is a great deal of things happening. And what is at the forefront of my mind is that we have to break out of this worry and into action. Great morning. We got to break out of this the world and into action. What is happening right now is I look at it from my military perspective. And though you don't know that, I spent 11 years in the United States Navy as a cryptologist, where my job essentially was to pay attention to anything that passes through the air, which we call the electromagnetic spectrum. And we work on different campaigns, whether it's monitoring certain countries or putting pieces together intelligence wise. It was hindsight, y'all. I'm telling you, when you're in it, you don't care about it. But when you're out of it, it's like it has given me some perspective. And we are in the midst of a campaign at the federal level, right? And I think I heard it on the news and I was like, I'm right. I told my husband, I was like, this is a shock and awe campaign. And it's government led, which is not unusual. Oh, it's not unusual. I'm reading the comments. Jason Melendez, VA says, if it wasn't for you for this live, if it wasn't for your live this morning, I would not be getting up right now and heading to the GAB. I'm sleepy. I'm tired too, Jason. I'm so tired too. Real World Changers says, I have a toolkit teaching us how to create campaigns to ensure that our communities have the skills to fight. I think we need to go ahead and connect because good morning, Brian. Good morning, Boniface, all the way in Africa. We appreciate you. My prayers to you and your colleagues. Oh, Miss Christopher. My prayers to you and your colleagues as you try to do what's best for the citizens of VA and then the rest of the country. It has to be hard. Be encouraged, and that there are some of us who care. Yeah, I'm super encouraged, but I'm also acknowledging that folks are looking to us for leadership. When you are trying to defeat what we would call as a tactic, or it's a tactic or strategy with a lot of different tactics, is when you were trying to defeat a government-led shock and awe campaign, you have to know that what's happening in the generally speaking from the executive branch, what is happening right now is a strategy that's designed. It is designed to overwhelm you. It is designed to disorient you, and it is also designed to discourage you from opposition. So if over the past few weeks you felt like, oh my God, what's happening? So much is happening. Like, I don't even know, like, we can't even do anything. He has all the power. That's what this kind of campaign is designed to do. We do this as Americans. We do this to other countries. Like, it is a real tactic. Good morning, Olivia. It's a real tactic. And so defeating it requires strategic resistance, right? That keeps people engaged and prevents a level of despair or apathy from taking hold, because that's what people want you to do. It wants you to feel like it is hopeless. There is nothing I can do, or, oh, well, it is what it is. And so what I want to do is kind of walk this morning through what I believe are 10 things that we can do to sort of snap ourselves out of this, because we have to rise for this republic. We talk about America often sometimes as a democracy, and it is not a democracy. We live in a constitutional democratic republic. And I know some of y'all heard this spiel, but if you've been rocking with me, let's rock with it, right? It is a constitutional democratic republic by which we have a document, the Constitution, that allows us to choose to choose our representatives in government, republic, right? If it was a true democracy, everyone would be up here in Richmond with us or up at the federal level making all decisions. We'd all be voting on all the things, right? But you in this republic, right? And to the republic for which it stands, right? You choose your representatives to make the choices for you, okay? And in this constitutional democratic republic, it is so important. It is so important that we realize that whatever you're feeling right now, it's winnable. 1000%. Think about, just for perspective, think about Hitler, right? And people are like, man, I can't understand how he rose to power, how he did these things. But he didn't win. He didn't win. He didn't win. He did some terrible stuff, right? Took lives, manipulated, really tore things down, but he didn't win. And if you're comparing what is happening right now to that instance, just remember, Hitler got some small wins, but he did not win. And that is because people did not allow for despair, and people that were on his team and that realized, like, whoa, this is crazy. People did not lose hope, and they used their resources. And I want to say absolutely to Daniel, Senator Warner, they're doing their best to stand up for the Constitution and for the people. But remember, what we are seeing happen, I just want you to understand, this is an exercise of executive power that many presidents have exercised, right? Like, what we're seeing right now is not unusual for the president to bring their people in. It's not unusual for them to decide, this person is no longer fitting. These things are not unusual. The difference is that it is happening on a larger scale with a larger amount of people and faster. If you remember previously, the sitting president, when on his first term, there was a government shutdown and people lost their job. I'm saying this from experience. My spouse was already approved for a job with the DOD, and then that job disappeared because he wasn't hired by a certain date. And it wasn't until 9 or 10 months later that he actually got on the job. This is history repeating itself, and we need to be students of history to show us that this is not something to be this is not something to be completely discouraged on. This is something to get active on. Yes. So I'm looking at some of what saying in the comments, and I'm gonna get to these 10 things because I think you all need to have them in your back pocket, because you're going to need to find these small wins in these places. Remember, we are always here to educate, advocate, celebrate, legislate. We do it in that order. Real World Change, she said, I would love to. We can share some of your resources. We may have some type of advocacy workshop supposed to be presenting at Phi Beta Sigma fraternity, so they can help prepare people to act. Absolutely. K Willie says, yup, desensitize you to the point you give up. And we cannot give up. We don't have the luxury of that, y'all. That's why y'all up right now. How about now? Because I'm up right now, right? Real World Changer. Yep. So y'all talking to each other. Great. And it's okay. And I want to say Real World Changer is like, don't complain. It is perfectly okay to complain. Can I tell you that? I do it. Sometimes you got to get it out, right? Find your spaces where you can't complain. Be like, this is crazy. What is happening? But also find your places where you say, here's the action I'm going to take. So here's what we got to do, y'all. We are in the midst of a shock and awe campaign. We know it. Let's all acknowledge, like, oh, this is a strategy, right? The goal is to disorient me. The goal is to overwhelm me. The goal is to discourage me from having some level of opposition. But y'all, because this is so wild right now, we are in the middle of a renaissance. This country is about to shift. And you may not want to hear this, but there will be some good things that come out of some of the things that are happening. There will be some absolutely horrible things that come out of what's happening right now. So what do? Right? Get your notebook, get your pen and pad. Number one, you all, the number one thing we need to do is we've got to slow down the narrative, right? There's a lot of information coming at us, and somebody's got to control the tempo, right? What I would say is that in a shock and awe campaign, it works by flooding the public with information, confusion, and fear. You feel that happening right now, right? Yeah, you feel that happening, right? Shock and awe, this campaign. The number one thing we have to do is we have to slow down the narrative and control the tempo. That means, yeah, you're going to have to manage how much you watch that news or take in that stuff, right? Breakfast Club was talking about it in the morning. I was like, yeah. Right? We got to slow it down, because shock and awe, it only works when you're able to flood people with information, when you're able to flood them with confusion or flood them with fear. Here's the strategy, right? You need to simplify conversations with folks. If whatever your issue is, if the thing is the federal employees right now, you got to break it down into very small, digestible, consistent messaging that counteracts the chaos, right? Because here's the thing, no one can take on all the executive orders all at once. Hey, which ones are what is vexing you the most right now? We have to control what people focus on instead of letting the opposition set the tone, because that's what I'm treating them like. They the ops right now, right? They're the ops right now. So think about in your world, what is happening right now that is overwhelming for you, that is oh my God, this is the thing that's resting with me the most. I need you to take it and you simplify it. Here is what's happening. And then tell people, this is one small thing that's happening, right? You can't hold on to all the things. We got to focus on what we got. We have to set the tone. And that's what we're doing right now, right? Right? Let's slow it down. Remember, Hitler didn't win. Okay? We have to decentralize resistance. We have to build local power. That's the second thing. Localized power is going to be so important. And it may sound weird, but when you have top-down intimidation, Top-down intimidation works best when people feel isolated. When you feel like it's just you and all this information in your house, when you feel like it's just you in your bubble, and that is the truth, right? Like when you feel like it's just you in your bubble, when you got somebody above you, they make you feel like you are alone, you are in fear, and you are not connecting with people. The shock and awe campaign wins. So remember that it works best when people feel isolated. When y'all start getting together with other people, that's like, yeah, man, let's do it. Your mind shifts into, oh, I'm not confused. I got action items. And so what we've got to do is, there's some of you out here who are grassroots networks, you're local leaders, you're community organizers, you are informal groups of people, like maybe it's just you and your co-worker, that need to start acting autonomously, but stay connected, right? So do the things in your little part, but also be like, okay, I know this group over there, I've seen them, they speak out on the environment stuff. And I imagine they're looking at all this stuff that's happening with the environment, connecting the dots, I'm gonna get some small bite-sized stuff from them. And then I'm gonna share with my people, because I ain't gotta know it all. But my thing is these government employees, and I'm gonna tell them, they're like, yo, we need to get ourselves ready for legal action, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's what happens. If you look at it too, some of these executive orders, judges have slowed that stuff down, right? Like, I know you've seen the headline where it's like, judge puts a stop to da 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 da. Even if it's temporary, like, we have tools. There are multiple branches of government. There are multiple branches of people doing their thing. So like, this is winnable. It's going to be hard. And I want you to really put into your mind, and this is why I've been in a rut too, like trying to figure out this responsibility of activating people. So I went back and I read the Mandate for Leadership, the conservative promise, the Project 2025. That's what it's called, the Mandate for Leadership, right? And where we are in that playbook, because it essentially is a playbook. And matter of fact, it is very detailed. It is something that if we had it, I would be like, yeah, cheerleading, like, yo, we got a plan. We know what we're doing. It is very organized, very well put together. And so what it does is it tells us what's happening next, though, right? We're in phase 4 of Project 2025. Phase 4, and you can read it. I think I would give you the page number, but I don't have it pulled up. But in phase 4, it is the first 180 days of taking the executive branch, right? It tells us exactly what's going to happen in the first 180 days, and it's happening, right? Where is this at? I wanted to dang it, I had a whole notebook on that part, but I'll do another live on that just so you can understand what phase 4 of Project 2025 is and how we're in the midst of it. Daniel says it's unusual for him to bring in uncleared, unelected civilian to do his bidding. It is not unusual for people to bring in, it's not. I mean, people had a fit when Obama brought in his czars, his agency czars, right? Like, I'm being real with him. Like when President Obama brought in all of his agency czars who were able to hire people to bring in, to start looking at agencies and things, they threw a fit on the other side. They threw a fit. So this is not any different from that. The action isn't any different. The intent is, and how you feel about the intent is, right? They're going in with the intent to F some ish up, right? Like to really F some stuff up, right? So that is the difference, is that yes, this is an exercise of executive power, and we have to realize that we've had the great fortune of having people that, yes, in some ways may have abused their executive power, may never have abused their executive power, but have done it in such a way, with the intent, with the open intent to essentially weaken our constitutional democratic republic. Right? He is putting his executive powers to the test. What this should also tell us is that we have had people who have not exercised their executive power to the best of their abilities for our sake, right? Again, what is happening? Some of it will be deemed, unconstitutional. It is really wild to give someone that access the way he is. Um, uh, it's scary. I want to acknowledge that because we don't know what's happening with our information, payments, opportunities, the security, all these things are in question. And that's what makes it different is the intent by which someone is exercising their executive power. Let me see, I'm looking, just making sure I'm not missing anything. Kay Willie said, can we speak on the importance of midterms, slow down the narrative of today and galvanize efforts to regain and hold the majority in the House and Senate seats for the future long game? Yeah, this would be a very different conversation if all three branches of government were not held in favor of the executive branch. It would be a difference. So you're absolutely right, Kay Willie, that midterm elections mean everything. What's even more important is that we've got state with their mindset. When you read Project 2075, the mindset is that the states, we would become the United Countries of America run by run by the king, right? So this is why state governments are also going to be so important. Who your governor is going to be important. Who's in your legislative branch at the state level. But even more important right now is, remember I said part of our number 2 of decentralizing the resistance is building local power. If you knew right now that your mayor, your sheriff, your city council folks, your school board folks was not with that shenanigans, how would that make you feel? Right? You do have sheriffs and mayors and school boards that are like full on Project 2025, full on, let's get it, right? Like we're trying to figure out how to execute it where government interacts with you the most. And that's at the local level. So I need you to remember that all of that matters. Kay Willie said, speak it, slow your roll on digesting the massive, crazy barrage of stuff and pick out things that you're passionate about, organize, get your crews engaged. These are facts, right? So again, I said step 2, decentralize that power. What happens when we have to make, that top-down intimidation works when people feel isolated. So we have to strengthen the networks, right? We have to strengthen our networks. Number 3, we have to make sure people know that this fight is winnable. You hear me? We have to know that this is a winnable fight. I told you, Hitler did not win. Did he mess some stuff up? Yes, boo. Yes, he did. Yes, absolutely he did. He did. But when people believe that they cannot win, they become disengaged, hopeless. And our strategy, right? Us here, we have to highlight the small victories. So when that court case comes in that says the executive order to do X, Y, and Z by a judge has been has been stopped. I can't remember what the headlines say. My brain not letting me. But you need to say that out loud. You need to say that out loud, like, there we go, one stop. Remember, we got 3 branches of government. This fight is winnable. So we have to create these actionable steps for people, which means you do have to get engaged locally where it's going to hit you the most. And it has not trickled down there for some of us in the hand. Some people across this country are not that lucky. They got a governor, a mayor, that's the executive power, right, of government. And they've got city councils and school boards and senates and houses that are all with the shits. Excuse me, I said I wasn't gonna say they're with it, and they're like, yo, let's get on board. How can we execute this faster? Like how can we make this happen faster? So I don't want you to disengage. So get those small actionable steps. We have to set very short-term goals that are achievable. And I'm even meaning in your area, and I'm seeing, because I see Zan on here, is like even in the area of maternal health, right? Like that's also a thing that's under attack because they don't want us to talk about Black, right? We can't talk about that. Okay, what are the steps that you can take to ensure that does not move away from the narrative, that we are still talking about the others? Right? We are dealing with a group of people that do not want the others. First it would be the brown others, right? First it'll be the non-white others. Then it'll be the women others. And then it'll be the people that don't make as much money as them others. Anything that you can do that connects with that, that allows you to take some steps to make sure that, no, we're not removing equity and inclusion from the things that we do in this space and in this town. And here's what we're doing, right? Because that is where the rubber meets the road. We're just seeing and haven't felt. There will be government employees are feeling it, but I'm saying this is a winnable fight. Actually, remind the resistance or the renaissance. It's a long game. It's a long game. All right. So the fight is winnable. And I need you to remind people, because this is our strategy. Number 4, I'm about to run over time. Y'all know I got to go to committee this morning and I ain't even dressed. I ain't even dressed. Number 4, we have to disrupt the cycle of fear. Because what did I say that a shock and awe campaign is built to do? It's meant to overload you with information, with fear and despair, right? We got to get people out of the cycle. Fear is the primary tool for shock and awe campaigns. Fear. I'm so scared. How many times have you heard people say, I'm so scared of what's happening. I don't know what's happening. It's working. It really is a camp. It is a strategy. Okay. And so what I want to normalize in that feeling, and I'm not saying that your feelings are not valid, because they are, or the people that you're talking, their feelings are valid because the strategy is working, right? Think about this when you're rearing a child, right? I got 2 little citizens, and when I wanted them to understand that there's a consequence for every action, I had to be consistent. I had to have a plan by which I provided them with consequence so that I can shift their behavior. That's what this is. We are being we're being overloaded with information, with headlines that are nuts, overloaded with information so that we can be in paralysis. I want you to normalize civic action. That's the strategy here. We have to keep the people around us engaged with our storytelling, with our art, with our humor, with our culture, the things that make resistance feel like a part of daily life rather than just this reaction to a crisis. That means doing the thing. Okay, you know what? The best thing that you can do is you're going to get up, you're going to go to that job, you're going to do X, Y, and Z. This is what you're going to do. You're going to make sure that you put all of the city council meetings on your calendar, the Tuesdays or the school board meetings, or you're going to find that organization that you're going to connect with those people, or you're going to have real conversations with the people around you about how we got to slow this stuff down and okay, where are we winning at? This has to be a part of daily life. It's a normal thing, right? This is not a reaction to crisis. This is your daily life, and we've got to make people feel like that, right? Normalize civic action, because fear, my G, is an unreliable master. It just is. It is. But remember, fear is the primary tool for a shock and awe campaign, which we are in the midst of. Yes. And I want to talk about that. So I see some comments over here on Instagram. John Fetterman ain't dressed either. Shock him. I ain't going in like this. I ain't going to do y'all like that. Naturally, you said Media Machine is a huge part of the problem. Yeah, it's a huge part of the solution too, right? Because when you see this stuff, when you see all of this, when you see all of these things happening, you are now able to say, all right, yeah, that's a thing, but let me explain something to you. Here's where we got to win. You've got to, in all of that media inundation, you've got to find where you're able to break things down and have real conversations. So remember, civic action is not just a reaction to the crisis, it's normal. And I'm going to tell you, if you build that habit, that's how I ended up here. Number 5, we have to maintain a parallel communication network. This is to naturally use comment over on Instagram. They said that the media is a machine, and the media machine is a huge part of the problem. Yes, state-controlled media or official messaging will frame you as dangerous and futile. If we start, they will, like, the people are out here so dangerous. Look at how they're reacting to it. They will do it. And it's happening. When you look at the fact that the executive branch has already said, hey, what we're going to try to do is we're going to get stake in TikTok. Or what we're also going to try to do is we're going to change the way we do White House press passes, right? We're going to let these certain media folks in there. We're going to revoke these. Yes. And I'm going to tell you something about social media, because I got it and we're on it right now, is that social media is like the freaking Colosseum. I don't know if you know, back in the day when the Romans were fighting with gladiators, The reason why they had that was to keep people entertained from the BS that they were doing, the wars that they were fighting. And that's what social media is doing for some of us. It's just numbing us to the things. We escape into social media so that we can just sort of live in a moment, right? You have to realize that our strategy is to build these independent platforms, and they're even tempering people's messages. You may be the person that starts your newsletter. You may be the person that shifts the storytelling that you're having on your social media type. You may be the person who starts that group chat, that much needed group chat with you and your friends to keep people informed without the interference of the big media machine. Okay? That is the strategy, is that while they have their information network, you got to have yours. And that may start with like 5 people, right? This is a fact. And I'm trying to rush because I got to go get dressed because I got to go to work. Number 6, we have to focus on long-term mobilization and not just reaction. Remember, reaction, we are not reacting to, we are building habits in our interfacing with government. We have to focus on long-term mobilization. A quick response is necessary. This is why I'm saying you got to do it, which you got to do it in your space and place. It's necessary, but a sustainable infrastructure, things that people can feel like they can keep doing, is what wins the war, right? We'll win the war, because remember, Hitler didn't win, y'all. He didn't. Okay. So the thing is we have to invest in political education. And this is something that I'm working on right now with some folks. We have to invest in political education. We have to do some leadership development, which some of you, I saw, who was it on here that just said that you said you had strategies. We have to look into movement building. All of that will outlast this immediate crisis. So I need you to understand that. I'm gonna do my damnedest to get you the education you need about the political process. We've got some people that do really amazing leadership development, and we're going to work on some movement building, because we are not just reacting, we are building mobilization, long-term mobilization. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So number 7, make things personal and relatable. This is why I said you got to find your thing with your people, because people will get disengaged when the fight feels too abstract or too big to affect them personally, right? If it's like, I don't even know, like, that's a lot of stuff. I don't even work for the government. So like, you know what I mean? Or like, you got nothing to do with me. I'm going, things I'm gonna do, be black, pay taxes, and die. They ain't got nothing to do with me. We have to connect what is happening, policies, to people's daily life. We have to show how the decisions impact jobs, how it impacts schools, how it impacts housing, and safety. We have to keep this stuff human. I was like, I wish there was somebody, and I was like, I think I gotta find somebody that will, because there are people who like, this was about the price of eggs and blah, 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 blah. I want somebody to track the price of eggs every week from 2 weeks ago to whenever, to tell people how it's doing a disservice, right? I want to track, behavior. So we've got to keep it real human. Okay. So that's why I'm asking you to connect that thing that you like to, to your daily life. I will do that. I will do that. Please post and send us the 10 steps. Yeah, please go ahead and sign up for our newsletter, or and I will commit to that today. All right. I'm gonna commit to that today. All right. Number 8, we have to use art and culture to keep spirits high. I don't know, you all know I day job produce with the amazing Hannah Sobel. We just did a project called Truth Be Told, Virginia, where we were able to share the stories of everyday Black history around in 4 cities, right? And what I learned is, in doing that, it brought people closer to their own community, right? And that's a form of art. Movements die when morale dies. When movements die, when morale dies. So yes, we have to make time to laugh. We have to have our music that puts us in a place, our humor, our visual arts, our storytelling, to sustain energy. It is okay We have to sustain energy and create sort of a shared cultural identity that reinforces that there is solidarity. We are in this together. We are in this together. Okay. So, but that was the thing too. And when I think about the stories of some of the Jewish people tell of like the things that they had to do together, even folks that were enslaved, right? They found a way to have a good time too. They found a way to tell the story. They found a way, like, they found a way to do this because we are in this together. Okay. We are in this together. I'm looking at the comments. I'm looking at the comments over here. Oh, Marky said, I'm here. Truth Be Told can be found, and that's on Instagram. I'm answering. It can be found anywhere you get your podcast. So Spotify, iTunes, iHeart Radio, or you can go to truthbetold.community, I think, or heard of them, HEARD of OOFEM, heard of them.com. Is there a website that affects? Is there a website that has the effects to our daily lives broken down? No, there is not. That's just why I'm saying what I'm encouraging you to do is find the thing that matters to most to you, and sort of exercise how or think about how it affects your daily lives and start having those conversations. If there's a series, like I think some of y'all, we need to bring some of y'all in on some of these days to start educating, right? Like the morning dew needs to be a morning dew every day where somebody like you comes on and says, hey, here's what I'm thinking. Here's what I got. So like, I think that it's time for us to do this, y'all. Like as doers, like because we up right now and we're doing it, but I'm gonna roll through these next couple things, commit to getting this posted, and then I gotta go to work. I really do, because I'm gonna be late and it's thundering out here. All right, so number 8, number 8. Number 9 is diversify our tactics, Mungie. We can't be predictable. If resistance follows the same pattern, it becomes easy to suppress. If they're able to predict, this means that, protesting, yeah, it's important, but it can't be the only thing that we do, right? We have to alternate between direct action, whether that's going directly to that governor, that mayor, that city council, that school board, that organization, or whether it's legal challenges, because we have people doing that, right? Like all these things, just as like they're trying to shock and awe us, all these things, or it's storytelling, like, here's what happened today. Or legislative pressure, right? Some of y'all, there are people up here exercising that. We have to keep people guessing. We have to. Right? Because some of us, even on the local level, people aren't used to us acting bad. And I don't mean bad in a bad way. I mean bad in a good way. And it coming from multiple directions. So think about what it is that you do, whether it's, I saw Real War Trade, if it's from protest to policy, or if it's from policy to protest and everything in between, right? Like all of it has its need and its desire, that all of it has its place in this thing that we need to do together, right? The last part here is you got to stay relentless. I can't, but you got to be flexible, because this campaign, what kind of campaign is it? It is shock and awe, right? It is meant to exhaust you into giving up. Remember, I said this is the first 180 days. First 180 days is meant to wear you down. This is phase 4 of Project 2025, and it is designed to wear us down. We have to pace our own fight. We have to adjust to the tactics that needed. We have to pace our own fight. We have to adjust to the tactics needed, but never let momentum fully stall, ever. Because in real life, the key to make disengagement feel like the key, let me say, not our key, or why we're even having this conversation, y'all, why are we even doing this morning, is because one of the most important one of the most important things or if I would say the mission, right? The mission of what's happening is to make disengagement feel like the right choice. And our goal is to make it feel like the absolute wrong choice, not because of fear, but because when we do find our way to participate, we feel empowered, we feel hopeful, we feel effective. Yeah, we do. So let's get it, right? Let's get it. I'm going to do something I don't usually do. I will, it usually does this automatically for me on Instagram. I mean, on Facebook. What I'm going to do is I'm going to repost this video in its entirety. Okay. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it in its entirety so that you can see the whole thingamabob, right? I think about the whole video, but I'll post that. But I do have to go because I do got to get ready for work. We are in the midst of, we're about to start hearing Senate bills, which means we're almost done. We're on a tight timeline. I will try to keep the stories up for you all, the reels and stories up. But it's a challenge. I'm down, folks. I'm doing my own social, so it's probably not the best, but it's what I can give you right now. But I will give you what I can through the story process, and then I will allow for this to repost in its entirety to Instagram, as well as make a carousel for these steps. Okay. All right. We got this, right? We know what we're in the midst of. We know that this is just a strategy, right? This is just a strategy. That's all it is. Okay. All right. All right. All right. Be well. You all try, do your best to make it a great day. I will do the same. Yes. Let's go. Let's get it. All right. Until next time, I am Jackie Glass, Mama, Navy vet, certified doer, and the list of legislative House of Delegates. 93rd District, honored to serve. We are here to educate, advocate, celebrate, and legislate because, doers just get more done. Don't sue me, Home Depot. All right. See y'all. We'll do. Take care.